We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships.
This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani, and we have Lakeisha Hines and Jeff Witt, our phenomenal facilitators on the show, but also practitioners in the practice. And we're excited to be with you here this morning. This is December. We're just a few weeks away from Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So there's a lot going on. But during these times, these are very difficult and challenging times for so many people. And why is that? It's because people are making major life decisions. It's not just about the gift that they want to put under a tree. It's about the journey that they want to take in this next step in their life. Do they want to be together with their spouse? Do they not? And so we're going to be diving into a series for the rest of this month that I'm really excited about. And the series is actually entitled the Separation and Divorce Series. Okay, so we're going to be covering this from a variety of different perspectives. We're going to be bringing in expertise, possibly some guests as well that can really speak to this because this is a huge issue. And so today we're talking about when the one you love wants to leave. And so ultimately we're talking about separation or the threat of separation and what impact that can have on you and the relationship. You know, as you know, we get a tremendous amount of phone calls, and usually it's people who are teetering on separating. They've already done so. They're on the verge of divorce. And so we're going to get into that this morning. Well, good morning, folks. How are you? Lakeisha,
Good
Jeff.
morning. Good
Doing
morning.
Doing good.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy holidays.
Yes. It's an amazing time. So let's dive in. I want to talk through this because Lakeisha, divorces, it seems as that January happens to be the month where most people file for divorce, and that first quarter of the year is when there's an uptick. And so that means if people are making this decision come January, this here is a very pivotal time where people are vacillating back and forth. What should I do? Speak to this.
Well, first and foremost, I need there to be a different month that people are choosing to get divorced because January is my birthday month. And there is nothing but love and peace and joy coming in January. But the reality is this: New Year's resolutions, right? I'm not going to start 2023 in misery. So if that means I got to cut off ties with my spouse, and I think that's what's going to bring me some peace and some joy, then that's what I'm going to do. But a lot of times I think we rush to that decision. We rush to divorce without actually weighing the cost. And, you know, you guys are really, really good. You know, just the money guy, Sonny, you're pretty good with numbers, I think. You know, you guys are really good at deciphering how much it would financially cost you. But, you know, I'm more on the emotional piece and the aspect of how that affects you psychologically and emotionally going through a divorce. And I just think that we just need to slow down, you know, before we rush to such a major life-changing decision, whether there are children in the equation or not.
I agree wholeheartedly. And a lot of people don't really have an idea of what divorce costs. Anytime there's an emotional cost, there's a financial cost in anything in life because it pulls you out of your game and keeps you from being your peak self, and it keeps you jaded from being able to see opportunities and things like that. And the truth of the matter is people just really need help. I deal with a lot of divorce attorneys. I write for their blogs. I have a whole team of writers that writes for their blogs. It's one of my streams of income. And the crazy part, when you actually see how much divorce really costs when it's contested, everyone starts out uncontested. They think they're going to be able to work it out. Then who gets the kids? 2-year battle, sometimes 3-year battle, sometimes longer. Who's going to take care of the kids' responsibilities? How much are you going to give me? These things you think you're going to have an idea of a number in your head, and it's both emotional and financial because there's all this stress around when you think that cutting the ties would be much easier. Typically, you're going to carry you from this relationship into either no relationship and still have the same problems, just
Mm.
interactions with other people, and you're going to carry you into your next relationship because you think you can get out and go to that grass is greener. And one of the things that I always tell people, if you think the grass is greener in your neighbor's lawn, it's probably because you're not taking care of your own. Maybe
Mm.
you want to look at the grass is greener situation as a chance to learn how to become really proficient at tending your garden.
Let me ask you a question. Since you deal with a lot of divorce attorneys, wow, what an interesting type of job to have. I'm sure you get a tremendous amount of insight and inside scoop on their perspective of what's happening in marriages. What would you say, according to them, are some of the most leading causes of separation and divorce?
Two things, and I think they actually bleed into each other. So infidelity, right? And then they literally say infidelity and money, and that rotates back and forth. Sometimes money's a big issue, and really, when you say money, it typically has to do with mishandling of finances and also lack of ambition. And that comes from what we've talked about before about how people will live till they're 25, they'll die at 25 and wait to be buried when they're 80. They've just settled, and when you start settling, there's stagnation. There'll be stagnation in your emotional relationships with your spouse and with your kids. There'll be stagnation everywhere you go, and life becomes this dark, deep depression. Money creeps into the equation because when you become depressed about your emotional situation, it's hard to handle all the things that you could do to grow because you don't feel like doing it. And so people just kind of pull back. They resign. They resign from life and they just kind of accept life as it is. And you usually have one partner who's in complete resignation and one partner who's like, let's go get it. And sometimes that go get it side is out there looking for another person to be with. It's fight or flight. It's literally fight or flight. So one person is fleeing from the situation, so they're hiding inside themselves. The other person is running towards a new opportunity.
Hmm. It's interesting. You're in Pennsylvania, so you're dealing with a lot of. I'm sorry, you're in Jersey, but you deal with primarily New Jersey, Pennsylvania attorneys and things of that nature. And I know that depending upon the state that you live in, how things play out legally are going to be different when you're filing for separation, legal separation or divorce. And so some states require you have to be in the house for 6 months before you can file. You have to go to certain classes. You got to do certain things. So while I hear infidelity and finances are the two major ones, and I do believe that there's a lot of validity to that. I wonder, because if you think about it, with what we do, 95% of the time, people don't cheat, people don't leave because of infidelity. Meaning, if an affair occurred, most people come to us after 6 months, after a year, after 3 years, and so it's not like the knee jerk feeling, the knee jerk thought, the knee jerk reaction will be, I need to leave. But most don't do that. There's a long gap in period of time. So there's more of a relational, emotional breakdown that happens after the affair or as a result of not being able to resolve, I guess, the financial crisis. I wonder, do they go into those complexities and what their perspective is and agenda is? Is their agenda to, hey, they want a divorce, we're going to file? Or because I know that there are certain family attorneys that have a desire to restore relationships. I wonder, does that work against their bottom line, or do they do what makes financial sense in that regard?
So I have one attorney out of the group of, I think it's 12 divorce attorneys. One who actually like chooses to try to mitigate, and they make them go through counseling before they go through their process. And if they go through that counseling, it actually cuts down their legal fees if they decide to go about it. One of the things that they use that for is to keep it from being a long, protracted legal battle. But other than that, it does go against the divorce. The divorce attorney gets paid for filing that paperwork, and the bigger the fight, the more money they make. To be honest, so they're looking at the prize. Not all attorneys are cut equal. I mean, I hope none of my attorneys are watching this. I'm not going to mention their names on the air, but the truth of the matter is a lot of them benefit directly if there's chaos, and they won't instigate that. That's not who they are. I don't know anyone that twisted. I wouldn't work for them if they were. But if there's one of the sites I worked with actually allows you to kind of do everything online. and for divorces uncontested or even semi-contested, where they work through it with you. But even then, the more issues that there are in the relationship, the more the divorce costs. So if there's children, if there's going to be a custody battle, if there's going to be assets to split up, the cleanest divorces are no assets, no children. But the truth of the matter is, most relationships that have divorces have assets and have children.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is why we don't want people to just, as a first step, pursue divorce. It should be the very last step, because there's so many things that can be done in between. But Lakeisha, you being in Florida, what are your thoughts, or what have you experienced when it comes to divorce in general with couples?
I think when people are ready to give up, they're going to do whatever they got to do. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter what the impact is on the children or how it affects the family. It doesn't matter once they make up their minds that they're done. The challenge that I see and what I think hurts me personally about divorce is that, one, God doesn't like it, right? And the second thing is, we're just in like such a microwave generation right now, where like we want everything quickly, we want everything right now, and it's becoming the culture. Like, oh, okay, it's not working out, I'm not happy, I'm out. Like, nobody's really, let me not say nobody, but it is becoming the culture that we don't fight, that we don't work through, that we don't go and get help, that we don't get assistance. Like, I'm just done, I'm just calling it quits and I'm out. So that's why I was saying, I think it's just important for people to literally just slow down. And like I said, whether they're kids or not, you need to really think about what it is that you're doing before you do it. And like Jeff said, you're taking that same baggage that you have, that same anger, bitterness, resentment, whatever it is, you're just carrying it around with you, just taking it to the next relationship. And even if you don't jump right into another relationship, it still affects everybody around you, because you're not healthy. You're not in a good place. And so no matter what, you got to deal with these issues. So wouldn't you rather deal with the person that you're already with, that you already know, versus trying to transition, move on to a different relationship and have to get to know somebody all over again while you're focused on that, and you take the focus off of your own personal healing, growth, and transformation?
So true. Powerful point. Listen, guys, we're talking about when the one you love wants to leave. We're going to get into the nooks and crannies of that on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. You're watching the Couples Academy Show.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
All right, guys, we're back. We're this is the Couples Academy show. We're talking about when the one you love wants to leave. A couple quick announcements before we continue. Last Chance Weekend. This is the last one of the year, December the 9th through the 11th. That is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you are still interested, feel free to reach out to us. We have a nice group of couples that we're excited to really make an impact in their lives and in their marriage, so that they can start 2023 off right. Also, big announcement. The Foundry experience is officially sold out. That is right. 45 men from all around the United States and different parts of the world who are going to be driving in, flying in. It's going to be an incredible, spectacular, phenomenal time. I cannot wait. I'm on pins and needles. Listen, we're facilitating this thing, Jeff, but I'm excited. I'm excited about what I'm going to get out of this. So listen, if you're interested in coming, sorry, too late. We done told you. You done messed up. But there will be another one. Dates will come pretty shortly. So we're excited about that. All right, we got it.
Wait.
Go ahead.
You still can join Foundry.
Oh, without a doubt.
Foundry, and you can get in on that. So the next time when we hold the next event, because these are going to get more frequent, you can get in now so you can get the learnings, because this is going to be, it's like going to be like turning on a water faucet, a water hose for the guys who've never been through the experience of the Foundry classes, but it's still going to be life-changing. But join Foundry so that you can actually really get to know the brothers, the brotherhood, the lessons that are being learned, and see the transformation for yourself. This will be a wonderful introduction for the guys who haven't been through the course, but it'll be even more powerful if you've been through the course.
It is. And as phenomenal as the Unearthed retreat was, it ain't got nothing on what we about to do with Foundry. I got to throw that in because, Danielle does it phenomenal. But, and every year, and it's crazy, Jeff, because every year we do the men's retreat, she follows up with the women's retreat. And this is the first time where the women's retreat came first. So I saw all the things she did so we could take things to the next level. Anyway, we're going to go to some comments here. This one I think is for you, Jeff. How do you deal with a stagnant spouse that's content, no goals or aspirations, and you want more out of life? I mean, the one word answer that I would give is obviously Foundry, but I want you to really speak to her situation and get into the root of what she's asking.
So he's not content. I guarantee he's not content. He's settled, and settling is something that happens. I mean, we live in a generation of people, and this has happened culturally across the board, where we get, where women are becoming harder because they need to be able to survive in this world of where men have mistreated and stepped out of their bounds for many years, and in that, men have actually learned to retreat and become softer. And they don't have those manly qualities. So what they end up doing is resigning themselves out of the relationship, like we were discussing last week, to the point that they just sit in nothing. Now, what do you do about it? I'm telling you right now, my wake-up call was my wife telling me she didn't sign up for this. That was my wake-up call. Now, I'm not advising anybody say that, because you have to make sure your stuff is in point too. Fortunately for me, even though my wife had things to work on, still has things to work on, she was pretty on point. And I had to make the decision that I was going to fight for my life, and not just my life, but my marriage, my family. And I had to get some kind of inspiration in me that showed me a way to do it. Now, you can't do that if you don't have other men around you who are able, because my wife could not bring this to me. I'm just being honest. Like, my wife couldn't challenge me or push me. She's always pushed me and challenged me in great ways. But I had to see other men for myself who had actually done what I originally aspired to do. The problem is he's given up. And so you got to identify what those dreams were when they were a child, when they were a teenager, and what they gave up on, so that you can actually start putting a path together. And they need to be around men who are actually doing it. Most of us have bum friends. And so we become bums. Who you surround yourself is going to be a direct reflection of what your outcome in life is going to be.
Facts. It's interesting. The wake-up call, I never heard you say that, Jeff, quite like that the wake-up call for you was when your wife said, I didn't sign up for this. And somehow that statement registered in such a way that it motivated you to do something different. She didn't have to motivate you. She didn't have to beat you down, browbeat you, constantly remind you. It was that did something internally within you. For me, it was the statement that Danielle made when she said, You do you, and I'm gonna do me. That was all I needed to hear. That was my motivation. And I think to answer this question, a lot of men, at the end of the day, they continue to show up in a whack way, oftentimes because there's this inherent belief that she ain't leaving, she ain't going nowhere, she'll be all right, she'll be here. And it's not and because we hear this with men, that men don't truly make an internal change and transformation until they finally believe that it's possible that their spouse may leave or their spouse has already left. Now, listen to that. Either she's about to or she already has. Why does it have to get to that place before men step up and step forward and do something? But unfortunately, that's the situation. So when women try to threaten, when women give ultimatums, a lot of times most men know, listen, there's no power. It's almost like a dog who has all bark and no bite. They don't believe it. But when women get sick and tired of being sick and tired and are done, unfortunately, that's when men are motivated to do something. Now, Lakeisha, you're the woman here. We're talking about what women have said and how women show up that causes a motivation in men. I mean, speak to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's right in alignment with Stephanie's question. She says, in response to the grass isn't greener, what about if one spouse isn't willing to make any changes, just keep things the way they have always been, rare dates, no appreciation, and show nothing? So it's kind of in alignment with you having that spouse that doesn't want to change and not willing to do anything different. And I just want to say, Stephanie, this is something that I experienced in my own marriage, where there were specific things that I was asking for, and I just felt like my husband wasn't coming through with those changes and the requests that I was making. But the first thing is to realize that I can't change him. So the first thing you have to realize is that you cannot change your spouse. The next thing is, do you know yourself? Because here's the pivotal point for me, where I realized that I got to look at my own attitudes. I got to look at my behavior, my expectations, hopes, dreams, memories, concerns, triggers, fears, all of those things, because each and every one of those will affect how I show up in the marriage. And so the first thing I started doing was looking at me and making sure that I was right, which is something Jeff alluded to. If you're going to say to your spouse, like, hey, you, like Danielle said, you do you, I'm gonna do me, or your spouse says, I didn't sign up for this or whatever. And I've used those words, Jeff. I didn't sign up for this. You have to make sure that you're showing up in the right way. And I wasn't. So it's important that you make sure that you know yourself, that you are showing up the right way, but also that you let your spouse know, like, this is not working for me. And I have doubts right now about my love, because when people start questioning that the grass is greener on the other side, and you start really having that philosophy, what you're thinking is, do I still love this person? Right? Mm-hmm. So what you got to start looking at is, what do you love about them? From, like, what made you fall in love with them in the first place? Go back to the beginning, because that's the part that we lose sight of. Once life happens, then we automatically go to the dark side and we only see the negative. So go back to the things that made you fall in love in the first place and come at them with a spirit of love and humility, and not this you pointing the finger. And make sure you own your stuff.
One of the scariest things for a man to ever experience is watching their spouse level up. Like, I'm being real. It's one of the scariest things you could ever watch your spouse do. I've watched this happen with multiple men where their wife started, okay, I'm going to focus on getting me right. And they become really serious about that. They start driving, they start having ambitions, they start having goals, they start to outperform their man. That really scares the bejesus out of a man. Now, that being said, you don't want to lord it over them or hold it over them. But, most of these men out here are not these evil doers like they get painted to be. Most of the men I find are really weak. They're not these hardcore, I'm running around looking for the next thing to do. There are guys out there like that, don't get me wrong. But most of them have just given up on life, and they just lost their ambition. They lost their way. And they fall into traps to try to sedate the fact that they haven't been able to live up to what they aspired to live up to. And they don't see a way. They don't have people in their lives that show a way. They see a lot of pretenders out there. They see those pretenders at church. They see those pretenders at their work. And they're confused about what it takes to actually get ahead in life. And so what they end up doing is just settling and kind of just accepting life as it is. And then they become horrible human beings within a marriage or a relationship because they're neglecting everything around them. And the truth of the matter is, you work on you to make you a better person. While you're driving to do that, he'll become aware of it. Then get him in touch with some guys like us, because we're going to push. We're going to push him hard. We don't. Not every man's going to make it through what we deal with. In fact, we've had a couple dropouts, only a couple out of the Foundry program. We have a lot of clashes; those happen. But we push those men to see themselves for who they are. They can call me out, but they better be ready for us to call them out as well. And in that calling out process, it's really, like Hassani says, it's calling them up.
Mm-hmm.
It's hearing that it's not, we're not pushing someone to do something we haven't already done. It's literally a hand down and saying, come on up here with us, brother, because we got this. And it's that brotherhood and that camaraderie, because every man needs a man, but I'm going to tell you, every man really needs a group of men who are thriving and striving, because we are communal beings. We cannot survive alone. And what you'll find is most of your men out there who've become quote unquote content, they're lonely. They're lonely on the manhood side of things. I mean, they might be lonely in the relationship, but they're lonely on the manhood side of things. And a lot of men, they start expecting things from their woman that they really should be getting from other men.
Wow.
That's a deep statement you make, because we could flip it and say the same thing for women. A lot of things that women are looking for in their husbands, they can get from other women.
Should be getting from their women. I 1,000% agree.
For sure. Wow. And it takes maturity. Like, it's a certain level of maturity that you have to be able to come to that realization that I can't expect my husband to be the be all of everything. Like, there's certain conversations that are not intended for him. It's just not, like, he's just not going to get it. So instead of me being mad at him and frustrated with him because he doesn't get it, because it's a woman thing. Like, I need to take that conversation to my sister circle. And so I've learned that I have to make sure that I have realistic expectations of my spouse. I just wanted to say that, I don't know, is this Whiter Man, 24J Whiter Man? He says, a man who's gone through changes after seeing my own faults. Women have tons of reasons to leave. We need to give them reasons to stay. And again, vice versa, right? Men have reasons where they could leave as well. We need to give them reasons to stay. Like, it goes both ways. Instead of us focusing on, you know, all of the reasons, all the things that we're doing wrong, that's not right or whatever, focus on getting ourselves together, like you said, Jeff, and making sure that you are somebody who's worth staying for, that you're somebody who's worth fighting for.
You know, I think the point that you both are making, men oftentimes are looking for something in their wives that they can get from other men, and women are looking for things in their husband that they can get from other women. What happens is, because they're not getting those things, it leads to relational discontentment, and then they seek those things out in members of the opposite sex. So if I can't get it from my wife, I'm going to get it from another woman. If I can't get it from my husband, I'm going to get it from another man. And that's the slippery slope. Now, the initial intention was not affair, infidelity. I just wanted companionship. I just wanted conversation. I just wanted understanding. I just wanted whatever I wanted. And I just have this natural connection with this person in a way that I don't have with my spouse. And before you know it, one thing leads to another, and then it transitions into a connection and a chemistry and compatibility. And then before you know it, there's an entanglement, and then on down the rabbit hole it goes. And this is why we really, really, really have to create boundaries and borders. And to your point, not just have other men, but a community of men, not just women, but a community of women who will call us up, who will call us out, who will hold us accountable. But most people, you said most men are weak. I think most people are weak. I think most people don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be called up. Everybody would rather have a pity party where people, oh, baby, I understand. It'll be all right. And that's not what we need. We need to be uncomfortable. We need to be out of our comfort zone. We need to stretch. We need to have people challenge our perspective, our beliefs, the things that we've been doing all of our lives that have not worked. Because if we don't have that, we remain stuck in our own mediocrity. But when we have people who will pour into us and pull and stretch us, it causes us to grow and to go to the next level of life. Does that make sense?
That's what I was saying about, we want it easy. This microwave generation, we want everything to be quick and instant and now and easy, and don't want to have to work hard. And that's not the reality. It's just not.
And what we're doing is we're trying to take finite games with set rules, set outcomes. Like basketball is a finite game. Certain number of players on the field at any time, certain number of coaches. This is how you win. This is a certain time frame. That's a finite game. And in marriage, we've kind of coined this in our head that it's a finite game. Like, I have to have this, my husband needs to do this, and we're going to do this for this period of time. And then what happens is after you have kids and all the goals are set and the finite game has been achieved, it's like, now what? And the truth of the matter is, marriage is an infinite game. That means you have to have a philosophy that carries you for the rest of your life. One of those philosophies that I found is that love is not just an emotion, it is a decision.
Yes.
What to do when that emotion starts eroding. I met a man who'd been married for 40 years and they were happy and they were still like, get a room type couple. And I asked him, I said, what's the secret? He said, you're going to fall in love and out of love with the same woman 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in your relationship. And it's not what you do when you're in love and everything's wonderful. It's what you do when you're falling out of love to bring that emotion back. You have to have new goals, new ambitions, because novelty is very important. Now, when I say novelty, I'm not talking about a new person being brought into the relationship. I'm talking about coming together and creating new goals that you can agree on. Me and my wife, we don't have a ton in common in daily life. But what we do have is a shared set of goals that we're working on together to achieve. And one of the things that's kept me on course is the concept of I'm working for 7 generations ahead. So that concept is a little bit foreign for a lot of people. I get it. But I want my grandchildren's grandchildren to know and remember my name. And by having a purpose like that, it doesn't matter what I'm doing to get that done. I'm always keeping something greater in front of me. And, if we keep God before us, who can be against us? And so we're talking about God being something much greater than us. And if we strive towards, it doesn't have to be a holy goal, but a greater goal for generational aspirations, we can break generational curses and we can have something that holds the marriage together when things get tough, because we're pushing for this destination that goes beyond our life limitation.
Listen, guys, we're just getting started. We're just scratching the surface. We're going to spend a month taking our time unpacking this, because this is a relevant topic that needs to be really expounded upon in a comprehensive way. So all month long, we're talking about the separation and divorce series. Many of you are teetering on a decision like this right here, right now. Today was when the one who you love wants to leave. We're going to be continuing in that conversation on tomorrow. So stay tuned. I want you to tune in. If you're not watching this live and you're watching this, the recording, sit down with your partner so that you can watch it together. Have a conversation about it. Make a decision to do something different. You do not have to go into 2023 in the same broke, miserable state that you're currently in. You have a decision. You have a choice. It starts with you. Do you want something new and different for your marriage? We'll do something new and different. Sign up for the Last Chance Weekend. Get involved in our programs. We're here to serve you with a spirit of excellence. But until then, love you guys, and we'll see you in the morning. Take care.